So let's transport back in time to ancient Israel, where the prophets and the priests searched the scriptures looking for bits and pieces of truth about who the Messiah would be. It was like a puzzle. Now, they only had bits and pieces. I don't know about you, when you put a puzzle together, I like to get that picture, the big picture on the cover of the box, and then do the puzzle. They didn't have that advantage. They only knew little tidbits here and there. So they didn't have full understanding. But they longed for the Messiah for thousands of years. And with Christmas coming, it's easy to forget how long they prayed for the coming of this little innocent baby.
And then even really, if you look at the Old Testament, the word Messiah is only listed twice. And it's in the book of Daniel. And it talks about a ruler or anointed one or a prince. So one way to look at how the Jews, the ancient people of God, and to what they knew about the expectant Messiah and what their thoughts were about it is to look at some historical extra-biblical literature. So one of those books is the book of Enoch. Now we all know Enoch. Enoch walked with God. It's not canon, obviously, but it is a historical book. And the interesting thing is the word Messiah or Mashiach in Hebrew is listed 25 times in the book of Enoch. It says, the Messiah is the Son of Man in whom justice dwells and receives his name before the foundation of the universe. Another verse says Messiah would be the light unto the nations. Another, Messiah worshipped as the Lord of hosts. Another, salvation will come in Messiah's name. Another, Messiah sits upon the throne of glory. So really the writers of the New Testament, we know, knew about the book of Enoch, and the ancient Israelites also knew about the book of Enoch. But outside of the actual reference of the name Messiah, there are a lot of references throughout the Old Testament that Jesus fulfilled in becoming Messiah.
Well, let's take a little visit to the garden to see the first seed of hope. Transported through time, we're viewing Adam and Eve had just sinned. They were hopeless. There was no hope. And God immediately spoke to Satan. I will put enmity between you and the woman, between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. God already said, devil, he's going to smash your head. You have not won. Even before Adam and Eve had walked out of the garden, we had hope, and there was expectancy. Now we look at the prophet Micah, speaking over Bethlehem. He said, but you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from ancient times. It's interesting that it's prophesying someone to come in the future, but this person is from ancient times, already alluding to the eternal nature of Messiah. From this, we also see that they expected an earthly ruler, someone who would come and set up an earthly kingdom. And so that was a part of their expectancy. Even in Jesus' day, there were zealots, and the zealots wanted to establish the earthly kingdom and push the Romans out of their life. And when they had an expectancy about the Messiah, he was going to come with a sword, and he would fight. He was going to be a battle warrior. So their understanding was different, and we understand him more as Prince of Peace.
And then let's travel to see what Isaiah said in Isaiah 9. And we sang about it this morning. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. So this is saying that Jesus is God's gift to us, coming as a son. So that's a little different understanding than what they had this thought that the Messiah would be a king and a ruler coming through battle or through war. It says the government will be on his shoulders and he'll be called. So this then, we're going into the attributes of Messiah. He will be called Wonderful Counselor, which is wisdom. He'll be called Mighty God. He's the absolute deity. Everlasting Father. Now that's interesting because earlier it says Son and Child. So, and remember, this is Old Testament church, Old Testament, Isaiah, a prophet. They didn't really fully understand how Messiah would come and who Messiah would be. So he's interchanging Father and Son, which is also, I think, interesting and being led by Holy Spirit. And he is a true idea of a loving and protective Father. And then Prince of Peace. Well, like I said, a lot of believers thought that there would be war, and that's how they would overcome. But it's clear that he'd be a prince. There's not war belonging to the kingdom of Messiah.
There are prophecies in the Old Testament that tell us other information, that the Messiah would be born of a virgin. And out of Egypt I called my son, and he would be called a Nazarene. We were told in the Old Testament that wise men would bring him gifts, and there would be crying in Ramah over the murder of little children. He would have false witnesses testify against him and be betrayed by a friend for 30 pieces of silver. And of course, we know about the chapters in Psalm 22 and Isaiah 53 that predict his suffering and his death. Some scholars say there are over 300 prophecies in the Old Testament that predict information about Jesus.